Right now, at some point this week, your eyes have probably welled up with tears without you cutting an onion or getting sand in them. Maybe watching a movie, maybe at a wedding, maybe just thinking about something that already happened. You didn't think much of it. It's just getting emotional, right? Except what you just did is something no other animal on the planet can do. Not dogs, not elephants, despite what the viral videos claim. Not even chimpanzees, who share 98% of your DNA. And when you understand why humans are the only species that cries for emotional reasons, it changes the way you see every tear you've ever shed in your life. Let's start with the obvious, because the obvious is wrong. All mammals produce tears. That part is true, but there are two completely different types, and confusing them is the first mistake. There's the basal tear, which keeps the eye moist all the time, and there's the reflex tear, which comes out when something irritates the eye. Smoke, wind, an onion. Nearly every animal with eyes shares those two. What no one else has is the third category, the psychic tear, the one that doesn't respond to any physical stimulus but to an internal state. Sadness, overwhelming joy, nostalgia, pride. That kind of crying is, as far as science has been able to confirm, exclusively human. The first explanation people reach for is the simplest one, releasing tension, letting it out. And yes, there's some truth to that. Studies by biochemist William Frey in the 1980s found that emotional tears contain a different concentration of stress hormones compared to reflex tears, suggesting the body is genuinely expelling something. But if the only function were physiological, it would be enough to cry alone, in silence, with no one finding out. And yet, here's the uncomfortable data point. People cry far less when they're completely alone than when someone nearby might notice. That doesn't fit a purely chemical explanation. It points to something else. The second explanation is the classic evolutionary one, the baby's cry. A newborn can't speak, so it cries to ask for help, and that mechanism stays installed for life. It makes some sense, but a baby cries to signal an immediate need: hunger, pain, cold. An adult can cry watching the ending of a movie they know is fiction, in a theater full of strangers, with no real need to resolve. The baby's survival logic doesn't explain why a 40-year-old's voice breaks watching their child graduate. There's no danger there. Something else is at work. This is where something most people never consider comes in. Emotional crying appeared at the same time as another exclusively human ability, theory of mind. That is, the capacity to understand that other people have their own thoughts and feelings, distinct from yours, and to imagine what they're feeling. Researchers who study crying, like psychologist Ad Vingerhoots at Tilburg University, have found something revealing. Nearly 90% of adult crying episodes happen in the presence of other people, or while thinking about other people. We don't cry only because of what we feel. We cry because of what we feel alongside others, or because of others. Crying isn't a private release. At its core, it's a social signal. And here's the part that should make you pause, because it applies to you directly. When your eyes fill with tears in front of someone, your body is doing something no other animal does, showing, without saying a single word, that something happening inside you is too big for language. Visible tears trigger an almost automatic empathy and approach response in whoever sees them. A study using photographs of identical faces, some with tears and some without, showed that faces with tears are perceived as sadder, more in need of help, and generate a stronger urge to approach and comfort. A tear literally changes how the other person sees you. It's pure communication, written directly on the skin. That's why human cultures, without exception, have rituals built around crying: wakes, funeral songs, weddings where someone is expected to cry from happiness. It isn't weakness, it's shared language, one of the oldest we have, probably older than words themselves. Before we could say, "this hurts," or "this matters to me," we could already show it, and whoever saw it knew exactly what to do with that information. So the next time you feel a tear escape at a moment you didn't expect, a goodbye at an airport, watching someone achieve something that took them years, you haven't lost control. It's 200,000 years of a species that learned showing what's inside is also a way of surviving together. We don't cry because we're weak. We cry because at some point in our history, we understood that being truly seen without a filter was the only way for someone else to know we weren't alone with what we were feeling. And that part of you is still awake every time your voice breaks.